Well, hello, all of my crafty friends. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day today. I just wanted to come in and bring you guys another installation of our Savior Sunday series. And I wanted to show you guys something that's really awesome. These are the Prima Princesses, and her name is Amelie. And I thought that these were so beautiful. And so over the last few weeks, almost a month, I guess, I have been collecting them. And so I wanted to share some of these with you. I wanted to show this one to you particularly because this is the one that we will be using. Now, this is not red rubber, it's more of like a turquoisey color. So we will see how well that does with the stamping. And these are fairly large, like it's more than a 5x7. You know, I'm a 5x7 girl, so that's pretty awesome. Here is another one of our princesses. I don't remember her name, but I will find them all and link them below. This is Serena. And then we have these. This is Madeline. And I just wanted you guys to see like all the gorgeous detail in some of these princesses. So we have Stella as well. I love the birds and the flowers that are present on all of the images. This is Claire. And this one again, if you guys are wanting to practice your coloring, skin tones, hair, florals, it's all in one in these Prima Princesses. So you're going to be seeing them a lot. I think that I'm going to incorporate them into the majority of our upcoming Savior Sunday series. So watch closely today and leave me a comment below and let me know what you guys think about this one. Now, I did get the Prima Princess. I was introduced to them by one of my friends, Maria Nice from Maria Nice Designs. And I'm pretty sure you've seen her. She's colored this one. So I will link to her channel or leave a card in the up here so that you guys can see that video. But she was the one that initially introduced me to the Prima Princesses, and I think that they are beautiful. So I'm going to introduce you guys to them. I will link all the ones that I can find down in the description box below. Please let me know what you guys think and what you guys think of today's video, because this is kind of the idea that I have going forward, at least for the next few weeks, for the Savior Sunday series. So we're kind of winding down. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little preview of all of the different princesses. I thought that they were pretty amazing. This is Coco, and I believe she's the last one. And she also, again, the flowers, the birds, the dress, the skin, the clothing, the hair, you can do it all. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come back with Amelie, and we are going to bring in our Misty. Now, I had to bring in my big Misty, removing that foam pad because this is a rubber stamp, so you don't need the foam pad to stamp these. And I initially put it all the way in the corner. However, when I was getting ready to put her in, I figured I probably needed to give some space because I want to get more of a center focus for her. But I wanted to show you, like, this is a 5x7 sheet of paper and she is filling the entire sheet. So I'm going to move this over about a 1/2 inch and down about a 1/2 inch just to give myself some room to have the majority of her image in there. I'm using some removable glue dots to tape down my paper inside my Misty because she is so large. I'm not going to use the bar magnets, and then I'm going to put her in. Now, this is a brand new stamp. I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink for her and ink her up. And I inked her up twice. Now, I will tell you, surprisingly, she inked up very well on the first time. Even with it being a new stamp, being a really large image, it inked up really well on the first try. Now, I did do it twice, and beautiful lines, very crisp. I love it. So here she is all stamped out. And what I think that we're going to do, I'm going to bring in my Waffle Flower thin frames, and this is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I'm going to cut out a little bit of that, and then I'm going to do some spotlight coloring. And these are just some Amazon heart dies that I found that have the stitching. If I can find them, I will link to them, but they aren't any type of brand name. They are just some cheapies that I got when I first started. So what I've done is I've lightly outlined the heart so that I will know where I want to color for the most part. And then I'm going to color that part, and then we're going to do some die cutting. So I'm going to start out with my skin tones. And I do end up bringing in the E13 to go before the E21 just because I needed kind of a bridge color. But what I'm doing with this E21, which is my lightest color, I am going in and mapping out every place that I think I want to be my darkest areas, where I want shadowing. Where her hair is falling over her face, her jawbone. I know that her nose comes away from her face, so there will be a shadow there. Her lips, both her top and bottom, giving a little bit of a shadow there, and inside of her ears. So I'm going in with that E21 first, and I'm building up my colors simply because you guys know I've told you guys several times that we are kind of learning this together. So I'm building my colors up. I'm going E21, E23, E25, going up that way. And then I'm going to come back down. Now, once I go all the way up and come back down, that is where I'm going to notice that I needed a transition color between the E21 and the E23. And that's why I bring in the E13. So I'm going to keep in the majority of the coloring because I know you guys enjoy some of that. But I also wanted to know, and you guys can leave me a comment below, what do you guys think about doing coloring sessions? And that would be when I slow down the coloring probably to 2 times. So you're going to be looking at approximately a 1-hour video. For those of you guys who enjoy the coloring, would you like to see something where I go in and maybe like an image like this, color the entire image and do it on camera, slow it down a little bit? Right now I am coloring at about 4.5 times the speed. So if you can imagine that getting slowed down about half the time so that you guys really can see in depth what I'm doing. Let me know. Do you guys think that that would be something that you guys would enjoy doing live? Would you want me to go live on YouTube or live on Facebook? Or would you guys enjoy a Zoom where you guys can talk with me and I can talk back with you? That's something else that we could possibly do. So I would love for you guys to leave me a comment below what you guys think about coloring sessions and how would you like them to be done? What format do you want? So going back to the coloring, you guys can see that I'm coming back down with my coloring, and right now I am being very cautious. So I'm just kind of outlining. It's okay that I have a huge highlight right now, because what I can do is I'm going to use that E21 to finish saturating the paper. And when I go back up through my colors, I can extend my colors out, because this gives me an idea of where I would like to see some additional darkness. So for example, where her eye is and it meets her nose, the second time I go around, I choose to bring in some more darkness so that there is not so much of a highlight on the bridge of her nose, more so on the tip of her nose, as well as with her cheeks. Like I have a huge highlight in her cheeks right now that I wanted to kind of close in. So once I go through this first time, then I can go back in. And this is where I bring in the E13, because I noticed that the color of E21 and E23 did not transition greatly. But the other thing that you could do is use a tip to tip method, which would be when you put the E23 to your E21 marker and allow some of that ink to soak into the tip so that it gives you kind of a blend of those two colors. So now here is where I'm going back in. I'm back at my darkest color. I'm being a little more generous this time because I can see better. Sometimes once you get that color put down, you can see better where you think like there would be shadows, where things would be darker, where you want your skin tones to be, and where you want that mid-tone to be. And one of the things that I always remember is that I want my mid-tone to signify the actual color of the skin. The highlights are just the places where the light is hitting. The shadows are the places that are in the background. So that middle color that I'm choosing is really what I want to stand out for my image to be. And I know you guys are noticing that I'm completely skipping over her eye, but I decided that I wanted to do a little bit of makeup since she has very full lips. She has her whole eye lid is showing. So I chose to add in my signature of purple in those areas. Yes, you guys knew that I was going to bring in some purple. And also we are seeing, like, I'm going down her neck, and I know you guys noticed that I'm not coloring the entire part. Like, there's part of her chin that's not being colored, but that is part that is going outside of the heart, and I was trying my best to stay inside the pencil lines, because if you color over pencil lines with your Copics, it is trapped. That was one of the reasons that I drew it very, very light. Like, it was so faint that I could almost not see it, so that if I did go over it in some areas, it would be okay because you wouldn't be able to see it. But just remember that if you're outlining anything, either you want to go in and erase it so that you don't really leave a line, or you want to be super, super careful and ensure that you do not go in to your pencil line, because it will get trapped underneath the alcohol inks. So what I'm doing now is I'm bringing in my favorite purple combination. I'm going over her entire lid with my V12. Once I get done with that, I'm going to bring in some darker tones toward the bottom of her lid and work my way up. So I'm going to bring in that V17, and that's going to be at the very tip of her lids. And then I will bring in my V15, and then I'm going to transition that back into my V12. Now, once I get done with all of that, because I still want it to look as if she has some skin tone, I want to tone down the white of the background of this. I'm going to go over her entire lid with my lightest color, which would be that E21. I am putting a highlight right underneath her eyebrow with my YR24. Just to kind of highlight that part. So now I brought in some RVs because I wanted kind of a plum color for her lips. So I brought in RV99, RV69, and RV66. I'm going to start out with my lightest color again, just mapping out where I want the darkest places to be. This kind of gives me an outline of what I'm looking for in regards to her lips, and I'm going to go from darkest coming into a center highlight and leaving a little bit of white space because I want to create the illusion of a shine in her lips. Now, this is very hard for us to do sometimes. We do not enjoy leaving white space, and sometimes when you're looking at it because you're actually the one coloring it, it looks weird to you. So I will tell you guys, just like I'm always told by Alyce from Kitten Clowder, walk away, come back, look at it from a distance and see what you think. Speaking of Kitten Clowder, you guys know that that is where I do all of my coloring classes from. I'm going to link her below, her email address and the classes if you guys are interested in that. She has told me that if you guys mention that you were sent by me, she will give you $5 off of your class. So make sure that you shoot her an email if you are signing up for those classes. In Australian money, I think the classes end up being about $20 a month. So that equates to a little bit less than $15 for us, I believe. So if you use the $5 off by telling her that Keionna sent you, then you can get $5 off of that. But that is where a lot of my courage in my coloring has come from. She's super encouraging. She does a phenomenal job of teaching her step-by-step tutorials, although they are very long, and I do those one by one. Like, I do one section at a time. It usually takes me about a week to complete my classes, but I love them. I get so much out of them. So if that is something that you're interested in, if you want to hear more, leave me a comment in the description. not in the description. Why do I keep saying description? Leave me a comment in the comment section. I'd love to chat with you about it. But that was one of the reasons that I did that. So now we're moving on to the hair. And of course, when I'm doing the hair, I start out with my darkest color because I don't want to blend too much. I want it to show the flick lines because the flick lines sometimes show movement in the hair. I also don't want my lines to always be the same. It's Kelly Lativola calls it the wall of color. So I don't want to build up a wall of color. I want to show some variation in the colors and in the streaks. And as you can see, I went through and where I saw one section laying over another, I went ahead and created a shadow there. So that's why you see those certain lines in certain places. I am also going with the curves of the hair. So I'm trying to make my flick marks curve with the hair so that it doesn't look weird if your lines are going in a different direction. Sometimes that can be noticeable. So I'm trying very hard. I know you can see that I'm moving the paper around some, but that's just so that I can try my best to get those flick lines curving in the same way that her hair is going. So as we do this, I am going to then take the opportunity with these strands that are very defined and different from the rest of the hair, and I'm going to create a very stark highlight, and I'll be using the YR24 to do that with. So I'm just finishing up, and of course you guys know how I say I like for my highlights to be at my mountains and my shadows to be at the valleys. That's kind of how I am able to picture hair when it has curves in it, especially if I'm working with wavy hair. And this hair, although it's not super wavy, it is kind of blowing in the wind, and so you have those curves. So that just kind of reminds me that I'm working my darkest color up toward my mountain to my highlight where I want my lightest colors to be. So that is one of the things that I find to be very beneficial when I am coloring. It kind of helps me to keep my eye where I'm wanting my colors to be. So as you can see right there, I'm in my mountain. So that's where I want my lightest color to be. And I'm working on trying to leave some white spaces when I'm doing hair as well, because those white spaces also create the illusion of that shine. So again, I know you guys can see I'm not coloring in all of the hair just because I am being aware of where the lines are that I drew for the die cutting. So we're coming toward the end of the coloring, and once we get done with that, I'm going to bring you guys back overhead and we are going to finish up the card. So here is where I brought in that YR24, and I am using that to create a nice highlight in her hair, kind of as if she has highlights going or very, very defined streaks in her hair. That's just kind of where my mind went when I saw the way that this image was drawn. So then we're going to go in, and there's a portion of the bird that is inside the heart. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color him in with some purples. And I am using BV08, that V17, V15, and V12 again with that one. And again, just coloring in the portion that is going to be showing when we cut it out of the heart die cut. So once we get done with that, the only thing that we have left to do is the stars and these bubbles. So I brought in a gold tone to complete this part. I'm going to, because these are smaller images or smaller areas to work in, I shouldn't say smaller images because they're a nice size, I'm going directly in with my darkest color. So I'm going to start with my E99. I'm coming in with my YR24, then my Y08, and I'm going to end with my Y02. When I'm making my bubbles, I am going to start on one side and I'm going to go from darkest to lightest, so my lightest color will be all the way on the other side. So you can see I'm just putting in that line of color. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to extend it out with just a little bit with the next color and just continue to go that way to where the bubble is the lightest in the opposite corner of the darkness. That's what made sense to me. I'm trying to work on coloring bubbles now just because of an upcoming video, but that's what I thought about. So let me know what you think. So this is what we have so far after we've done with the coloring. So I brought out two of my Sakura Jelly Roll pens in gold and in silver because I wanted to accent everything. I want to accent the stars, the bubbles, her eyeshadow, the eyes of the bird, the dot in her eye. I just wanted to have some nice sparkle all over this image. So I'm going in and creating her some earrings as well. And what I did was I just created 4 dots coming from the tip of her ear hanging down. And I did that with the gold Sakura Jelly Roll pen. And then with the silver, I created some circles. So that brought in some shimmer and shine. And I absolutely love it. You guys know I love my shimmer. And then once we get done with that, I'm going to bring back in those dies and I'm going to get them lined up. I'm going to line up the square first, and then I'm going to line up the heart and make sure that it is where I want it to be. Once I'm done, I ran that through my Gemini, and this is what we are going to come up with. So we have our pieces, and I am going to end up popping this portion up kind of like an eclipse effect with this card. So once we have all of that done, I am going to bring in some of the other pieces for our card. I've had the Cricut cut out what I want to be the sentiment for this card, and what I'm going to use is the word humble servant, because I'm working on Romans chapter 12 this week, and Romans chapter 12 verses 3 through 9 really stuck out to me. I love that book of the Bible. It's one of my favorite books of the Bible, but this particular portion of the Bible talks about using your gifts. And in using your gifts, Romans 12 verses 3 through 9 particularly tells us that we should do whatever it is that we have been given as our tool, as our ability, as our blessing, and do it the best we can. And I had my Cricut write out scripture 3 through 9 of Romans 12, which says, "For by grace given to me, I say unto you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all function the same, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each belongs to all others. We have different gifts according to grace given to us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is encouraging, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. And if it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully." And that really stuck out to me, because to me that kind of encapsulates what we do as a crafting community. Whatever your gift is, don't be someone else. Be yourself, because you have a gift. And if you function within your gift, you not only are going to do great things, but you're also going to be such a blessing to other people. You are going to be amazing. You're going to be that piece of the community that we need. And so when I read and was going through this chapter, it takes on a whole nother meaning depending on what situation you're in. You know, this year I've been into my crafting a lot more. I have learned so much. I've gained so many people. I have actually become a part of the community. It's not a solo venture anymore. And so I love it. And so when I read this, I was just like, yeah, that's right. We each have a different talent. We each do something very well. And if we try to do things that other people are doing, then we make the whole community miss a part of the puzzle, because all of us together makes the community function the way that it is supposed to. And so I just loved it. And so I wanted to incorporate it into my card for today. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'm going to go back to the card now. So I have found some Recollections paper that's kind of lacy, and then this purple paper that has that marbled gold effect, because you know I'm going with the purple and gold, purple royalty. You know, that was kind of my vibe for the day. I used my scraps to create my border on the left side because since my Cricut did so much writing on the right side, I did want to still have a place to write on the card. So I did all of that, and now I'm going to do the same thing and go ahead and glue down the inside or the front panel of the card. So once the front panel of the card is done, you know, the only thing that we'll have left to do is to add in our shimmer. So we've got that, and we open it up and we have our scripture and we have our place to write, and I really love how this came out. Now I could have left it here, but you know, I couldn't just leave it there. I had to bring in my shimmer pen. So this is my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. Don't squeeze this too much, because if you do, you're going to get a big glob and it's probably going to mess up your project at the very end. Don't do as I do, not do as I say, not as I do. So then I'm going to bring in some of my Nuvo crystal gems, and initially I'm just bringing in these last few that I had from a kit, and then I'm going to actually bring in the bottle that I purchased so I can get some of the smaller gems to put in the surrounding areas of the card. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle those around the card. I have 4 going down the bottom center of the card in between the sentiment, and once I get those put on, that is going to be it for our card today. I hope you guys enjoyed the Savior Sunday series. Again, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys like this? Would you guys like to do this? What do you think about the coloring? Let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys. You know, I love hearing from you. So if you enjoyed this, please like. If you are visiting, please subscribe, and please comment on the bottom in the comment section so that I can chat with you. All right, you guys, that is everything. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you guys soon, really soon, in our next video. Bye.